first, as we have the last several Wednesdays, a chance to sit down with the president of the University of Nebraska, and that's President Ted Carter. President, thank you for joining us again tonight. I just mentioned that it is finals week, which would have been followed up by commencement ceremonies at the campuses around the state, and I know the chancellors have been creative in trying to make this a special occasion for all of them. What are your reflections as you think back to your first semester here, for the work done by your faculty, the staff, and certainly the students as they finish out their college careers?
Well, thanks, Greg. First, I just want to say congratulations to the class of 2020. Certainly this year has probably not gone the way a lot of them have imagined it would, and it's going to be one for the record books. I mean, it'd probably be the most unique graduating class, certainly within the last 100 years. And let's all make sure that we celebrate them, however we can do that, whether it be at Lincoln or any of our other campuses, you know, for our NCAA athletes, for our students, everyone. I mean, a lot of them had to endure some hardships in getting through this year. I'm proud of them. I'm optimistic for the future. And I'd also like to say a special thank you to our faculty and staff. They have stood up and come forward and done a phenomenal job as we transition to remote education this year. I'm just proud of everybody. It's going to be a while before we get back to the normal that we remembered. We're going to be in a new normal, but together we're all going to do this well.
Well, let me just say you're the commencement addresser for this group this year. What kind of advice would you have for this class as they get ready to enter out into the world?
Well, what I would tell them is the lessons that they have learned here just in this last half semester are really life lessons. Some pretty dramatic, but life is never going to exactly just turn out the way you always expect it to. You make your own best fortune, but you have to be ready for the unexpected. You know, as I've always learned in my 38-year career in the Navy and even coming here to Nebraska, you know, before you go through that right open door, there's going to be a lot of doors that close on you first, and be ready for the one that opens and take that opportunity to make the best of it.
Well, let's talk to the next generations of students here, if we could. The high school seniors, who they have the same situation. They've had a lot of different things for their final semester of high school. Some words of wisdom for them, and also for those that may be thinking, boy, as uncertain as it is right now, maybe I take a year off. I think they call that a gap year. Your thoughts and maybe some words of advice for those high school students?
Well, we know a lot of people have some big decisions to make. The affordability and the access of college education is fantastic here in Nebraska. We've done everything we can with Nebraska Promise by declaring that we're going to be open in the fall and using common sense and a very calculated approach to make sure that our students are safe. I know we're going to have an expansive, a lot more amount of testing and contact tracing. We're going to have the ability to have our campus and have the full experiential college campus ready and available for them. And for those that are thinking about maybe that gap year because they're not sure, I would just tell you, even though that's completely your freedom, your family's decision, think about that. Most gap years are followed with some international travel, a chance to get around the world, maybe go into the workforce for a little bit. A lot of those things may not be as available as you think. And you may not want to lose out on that ability to start your journey towards a lifetime of earning. A college degree is worth anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million of lifetime earning. To take that gap year means that you're going to take at least 1 year of that advancement towards that away. And that's one of the reasons that we've tried to make sure that students have an extended amount of time to make that decision. We moved that decision point from 1 May to 1 June. And I would just tell you that we've got a campus ready for you, tailored for you, and college at the University of Nebraska is available to everyone.
Yeah, we're visiting with NU President Ted Carter here on Sports 90 on the Husker Sports Network. President, a lot of students, maybe this is the first time for them to do some online class work. How much will online learning still be a part of the university moving forward?
Well, I think we've certainly learned a lot more about online and remote education. On average here at the University of Nebraska, about 1 out of every 3 students takes some additional courses online. I think that population will grow. I think they've seen the advantage of the flexibility of that. So we want to make sure that those programs are available. I will tell you, just for the summer programs, which we made the determination we would be all remote or online. We did some additional offerings to make it more attractive to students, and we've seen a significant growth at Lincoln and Omaha. At least 1.5 times more students doing remote education in Omaha, and about 35% more here in Lincoln. So online education is going to be here to stay. But remember, it's a vehicle to deliver the education mission. It's not the full answer. And I would tell you that being on campus is the full experience. So I think most students still want that experience, and we're going to make sure that's available for everyone.
We've talked a lot about the impact that the university has on the state on a yearly basis, and I saw a figure that each graduating class of the university is about $2.4 billion, the impact on the state's economy. So just how important is this university to continue producing these graduating classes for the state of Nebraska's workforce?
Well, there's no doubt about it. We are a huge economic driver for the entire state. Those figures that you highlighted speak to the idea that for every $1 of state funding that we get, those precious tax dollars from Nebraskans, we return that 7 times over. So we do not want to see that amazing assembly line of what we do for college education, working on the personal growth of our youth to go into the workforce, to be interrupted. And that's one of the reasons that we're spending so much time studying this, making sure that we're going to have it right, and keeping our students safe as we get ready to open the campus in the fall.
We talked earlier about the graduating seniors and getting ready to head out of the workforce. For your current student body, a lot of them would have had internships or things that have lined up for the summer that may now have fallen through because of the current climate that we have out there in the workforce. Any advice for a student who's like, okay, now what do I do this summer? I thought I had something set. Now that's been delayed, postponed, canceled away from me. What advice would you have for those students?
Well, I think as we have the freedom of our state of Nebraska starting to open up, I would look for opportunities maybe that involve volunteerism. There may be some other jobs that maybe aren't the internship that someone might have looked for. Those are certainly opportunities that I would explore. But I'd also explore maybe on a small scale, looking at some of our online offerings. As I said, we're offering many more courses for students to kind of stay tuned up and be ready to go into action in the fall.
Very good. President, we've been running some old Husker football games on Friday night. The one we're going to run this Friday night is from 1978, Oklahoma, Nebraska, where the defensive star of the game was a guy by the name of Jim Pillen, who's currently the chairman of the Board of Regents and a guy I know you've gotten to know really well over the last year. How much are you in contact with the Board of Regents on a daily basis? Has much changed with that over the last several months?
Well, the dynamics of the situation, our work towards understanding what the economic situation is going to look like. I'm on the phone with them almost every day. Regent Jim Pillen, the man has the eye of the tiger still. I think we could still suit Jim up and make him useful on the Husker football team, and I think he'd surprise people at how good he still is. But there's no doubt that, in the late 70s when Jim was at the height of his game, he was a force to be reckoned with and part of Husker lore. I'm appreciative for the Regents that we have from across the state. They are true patriots. They do it for almost no money. People have no idea how important they are for the fiduciary oversight that we have here at the University of Nebraska. I've come to appreciate them more and more every single day.
Very well said, and they do. They all have a love for this state and these universities as well. President, thank you so much. We do appreciate the updates each and every week. I know you would rather be at graduation ceremonies this weekend, but what we're dealing with prevents you from doing that. But again, thank you so much for your precious time here tonight.
Thank you, Greg. And I don't know if you can see the screen behind me, but I've got the Memorial Stadium up on my screen, and that's what I look forward somewhere down the road, is that full stadium once again.
Love it. Looks great. Thank you, President. Have a great night.